two. I said microphone check. 1, 2. Can't nobody out here do it like me. Ain't nobody out here winning like me. Can't nobody out here do it like me. Just like me, like me. Can't nobody out here do it like me. Ain't nobody out here winning like me. Can't nobody out here do it like me. Just like me, like me.
What's up, everybody? Good evening and welcome into another episode of Aces Wild right here on the Undefeated Sports Network. As always, I am Andrew Tarbill. To my left is our wild guy himself, Angelo Ace Camacho. And down below, we got our guy Mike joining us this evening. So you got the three of us to listen to for the next hour or so. Thank you guys for tuning in. It's been a couple weeks since we've been able to be on the airwaves, so a lot's transpired since then. Excited to chat with you guys. How's everybody doing tonight?
Doing good, man.
You know, Bears football's back. Officially back, not just pretend.
Yeah,
it's back.
I don't know if the guy that lives in Wisconsin can say Bears football's back. He's staying at home on Sundays because he's scared, but that's a topic for another day.
I mean, if you know, it is technically back. It looked just like Bears football that I remember from every year that I've been on.
2006, yeah.
No,
but we're going to talk mainly Bears tonight, guys. Obviously, a lot of news going around in the Chicago Bears world. Big matchup coming up Sunday night. We'll get into that a little bit later in the show. And we are going to segue from our usual Chicago sports takes a little bit and talk about Tua Tagovailoa and the injury that occurred last night during the Thursday night football game. So lots of good topics to discuss here, guys, but I think we rightfully so have to start it out with the Bears win, the Bears being 1-0. So Bears beat the Titans. Second half adjustments have pushed the Bears to 1-0. Defense and special teams lead the way in a 17-point comeback victory. Guys, I think I speak for all of us. Maybe I do. Maybe I don't. I speak for myself in saying that I was a little disappointed to see that the offense didn't at least score a touchdown, whether that be via Caleb Williams or the running game. But the defense came through and lifted the team up, and that's what good teams do. Coach Flus alluded to it in the post-game press conference that, you know, it really is about all three stages, offense, defense, and special teams. And when one unit may not be having the best game, particularly, the other units come in and step up and make up for that. And our Chicago Bears defense and special teams did a tremendous job. Simone Biles' husband did a tremendous job out there. And here we are. We're at 1-0, guys. So let's just kind of go round table. I want your thoughts, but how are we feeling after week one?
I mean, I can go last if you guys would like.
Let's let Mike go first on this one.
All right, I'm good with that. Mike, why don't you go first?
Mike, how are you feeling after week one?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, it's seeing that offense play, you know, especially we've been hyped and we've been excited for Caleb. You know, not even since draft, before the draft, because we've known for a while, you know, probably who was going to be our guy. So, you know, and then, you know, we see him make these throws and make these plays in preseason, and, you know, it just makes us even more ready for week one. So, you know, I do understand when you come out and you see him, you know, kind of struggle. It was a little defeating as a Bears fan. You're like, this is not what I was excited for.
Right.
But I know the focal point is going to be on him because of the expectations he brings. But in my personal opinion, I feel that whole offense, the struggles, you didn't see just Caleb struggle. Swift didn't run the ball very well. Odunze had a drop. Granted, it was a tough catch, but, you know, getting hit from behind as it got to him, but probably a ball even he would say he should catch. I think the struggle of the offense, the biggest reason why we saw that struggle was the offensive line. I think everything starts at the O-line, and they were generating no holes for Swift. Caleb, as we're used to seeing in Chicago, running for his life again. And you know, being a rookie quarterback, you just saw a little nerves in those throws. So it's not where I'm like concerned or, you know, panicking by any means with this Bears offense. I think the more they play, the more they'll be fine. But I do think we need to figure out something with his O-line, especially at the center position.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I think the offensive line definitely was underwhelming after, really everything we saw. And maybe us being, you and I being fans of Hard Knocks. I know Angelo's a hater, but getting to see the in-depth work that the offensive line was putting in practice, all training camp, and, how they hyped up these battles kind of between Shelton and Bates and all these guys that they're rotating in. And then you come out and you see the same disappointment that you've seen year after year at the offensive line. And Coleman Shelton was horrible. The guy was getting
that's an understatement of the year. That dude was making out with the grass at one point during that game.
He was getting rolled over almost every play. Now, don't get me wrong. You are facing one of a very elite, I will say.
I would say probably the biggest. It's probably going to be the best interior defensive line they'll play, at least this early in the season, for sure.
Oh, and absolutely. So that doesn't help matters, right, obviously. But moving forward, I think they have to find an answer. And I'm sorry, as much as Torrey Taylor was touted as a great pickup, I really think a fourth-round center would have made a better impact on this team than a punter who can pin it inside the 10 will. Now, don't get me wrong. Torrey Taylor will probably be a difference maker moving forward for some games because it is a battle of field position at times. And, being able to pin a team. I mean,
I'll give him credit. That was a field position game for the Bears most of the time because of the fact that the offense was so inept at moving the ball at all. So, I mean, if you look at it, would a fourth-round center have been better? Obviously. That's kind of my biggest glaring concern about Poles is last year, what was the problem? The offensive line. Yeah, we had quarterback drama too,
right.
And then the year before that, the offensive line as well. And you look at teams and you look at them he played for who? Buffalo, right? Or was that the other guy? Bates played for Buffalo, right? Well, one of them played for Buffalo. The other one played for the Rams. And both those teams were totally fine with letting those guys go for late round picks, right? So you kind of get what you pay for in that regard. My biggest concern about week one was the interior of the offensive line was embarrassed during that game.
Absolutely.
Now, Caleb did look very unsettled, which is to be expected. I'm not saying that I was expecting him to come out and throw 400 yards, 5 touchdowns, and look like Aaron Rodgers out there.
No, that's this week, right?
But let's temper expectations after week one, right? But to have less than 100 yards, I don't think – and anybody who says, oh, well, I expected that is full of shit. Nobody expects.
Our guy Foster always watching in the chat.
Right,
Bates Bills. Thanks for the note, Foster. Good to see you in the chat, my friend.
Nobody, I don't care who you are, would have been like, yeah, I expect Caleb to have under 100 yards passing, no touchdowns, and for it to look as completely sloppy as it did.
Right.
Yes, it's week one. We've been through, the week one. I think the choice of personnel on the field at times was interesting.
So I'm going to stop you there. It wasn't interesting. It was absolutely asinine that Gerald Everett had more on-field time than Cole Kmet. Yep. In what world does that make sense? It doesn't.
And
Shane
even the other
Waldron
thing is
trying to do what every Chicago offensive coordinator of the last 15 years has done and outsmart himself. You don't have to be the smartest guy on the field. Run things that work. And Cole Kmet as a safety valve for our young developing quarterback is something that works. I think obviously they need to look at that moving forward. And Cole Kmet should be playing 40 snaps a game.
I think the reason why we saw that, I could be completely wrong, but I think we all saw how much the O-line struggled that game. And Gerald Everett is a much better blocker than Cole Kmet is. So I think a lot of the reason for that might be because they thought Gerald Everett could help at least a little bit on the blocking part of it. But at the same time, I do agree we shouldn't have seen as many snaps as we did. But I think that he was trying to essentially just fix the O-line mid-game and was like thinking like maybe I can have our better blocking tight end in there.
Well,
And I know you were saying about drafting a center in the 4th round, but I remember when I was during the draft and I was looking at all the pieces, there was not a great center in that 4th round that I was like really felt great about.
Okay.
So I wonder if it was just like a value thing and that's why they didn't take him. Because remember, they did take what was his name? Karan, the offensive tackle, in the 3rd round. So
Yep.
I mean, I do think he tried addressing the O-line. I mean, obviously we're a center short right now, but
Right.
we have a lot of young guys on this O-line that I think as the season goes on, I think they'll develop and they'll be fine. But we have zero shot in probably 90% of our games we play if we see the center play the way we did last Sunday.
Yeah, I mean,
And-
the 3 times since 2000, teams have been down 17 points and won the game without scoring an offensive touchdown, and
So-
2 of those 3 happen to be the Chicago Bears. Like, I mean, I guess
It's
that's what we got
awesome.
going for us, right? Like, hey, at least if we're down 17 points, the odds are in our favor that we win that game as the Bears, right?
We cannot go down 17-0 to the Texans, though.
No. So
Absolutely.
I will say this: watching that game, the moment it was 17, and I was like, "Oh Jesus!" I was like, "If this was last season, no shot does that team come back and win that game. None. They honestly probably lose
They shouldn't.
27-3 that game.
They
probably.
honestly shouldn't have came back and won that game. It was outstanding that they did, but
I will say this: we talked about this before the season started. We all thought the defense would be ahead of the offense in terms of play, right? Because this is the
And it
3rd
should
year with this defense. The pieces that were put in place, a lot of young guys. Jalen Johnson's contract extended. Sweat.
Right.
They made some trades to add some pieces to the defensive line, which turned out to be good additions. In week 1, they played well. I do think that Flus dialed up the blitz perfectly in that second half. Every time he decided to dial up that blitz, it just worked. That's what led to the Levis pick 6. Perfect time blitz, and you got guys that are hungry for the ball. You watched it on Hard Knocks, the show that you guys love so much.
Are you like trying to mock me? I kind of understand.
To be an opportunistic defense, right? Takeaways. That's what he preached this whole time.
Yep.
One thing I will say that I am glad to see, they did not turn the ball over. Now, there were opportunities for turnovers with 3 batted balls, I think, at the line of scrimmage,
Gotta
which
adjust
is a
that
little
arm, man.
concerning, but it's week 1, so I'll give it a pass. If we see it again Sunday night, then I think it's going to be something that really needs to be addressed and become a focal point for Caleb Williams.
got to
So-
comment here in the chat. You guys got the DTs.
Well, yeah, I mean, we just don't have the edge. You know what I'm saying? Like, it'd be nice to have an edge opposite of Sweat to
I
come
mean,
up.
isn't that what Austin Booker's supposed to be, though?
Right. So I was trying to pay attention during the game, and I didn't notice a lot of Austin Booker out on the field.
No, he.
Right.
No, and I think you won't see that for a
Yeah.
while, especially with the way the roster is structured right now. And Mike, you probably know this. Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't they keep something like 10 defensive tackles or something crazy? 10 defensive ends, I mean. Sorry.
Yeah, they had. Trying to think of his name. I can't think of the guy's name now, but there's one guy that I can't think of the guy's name. I can probably look it up and find it. But there's one guy I remember saying like he's going to be clear ahead of Austin Booker on the depth chart, and I think Austin Booker is more going to try to like develop behind him.
Yeah.
You might not see him get a lot of playing time. Maybe as the season goes on and as Austin Booker kind of learns the system and takes the advice and just note taking and stuff like that, we might see him later on. But I agree with you, Tarbro. We might not see him for probably till at least mid-season, I would assume.
So before we specifically talk about Caleb, we've started to chat with him a little bit, chat about him a little bit. I want to go back to what Mike was saying about Gerald Everett being the better blocker of the two tight ends. And Mike, it's not that I disagree with you. We got one more comment here from Foster. Defensive tackle was setting the edge. I was at the game. Look at the tape. I think defensive tackle could be a 3-down guy if needed. Okay. I definitely will take that under advisement, Foster. I trust your word, my friend. So I do probably need to go back and look at a little bit more of the tape. But looking at the tight end.
What things is he talking about?
Is it Billings that's in the middle?
Billings
Billings,
well.
because I mean we have Sweat, we have Billings, we have Dexter.
Pickens,
and then DeMarcus Walker, right? DeMarcus Walker is the guy I was thinking that's in front of.
Yeah, he's listed as an edge, but they got Booker Hardy. Is that the guy they traded for, right? Danielle Hardy. No.
Yeah.
That's what they traded for, right? He
But
played.
our
Well.
DT should be Dexter, and Billings should be the
Taylor.
DT.
How did we forget Taylor? The long blonde cornrows, right?
Oh yeah.
I will definitely have to go back and review Taylor's game, Foster. I will take a look at that. But looking at the tight end position, going back to what you were saying, Mike, about Everett being the better of the two blockers, I think that's fine if that's the philosophy that you want to take. But if that's the case, then I think you need to run some 12-man and still get Cole Kmet out there with an opportunity. I don't even want to say 12-man, but your two tight end sets. Run some two tight end sets and have Everett help the offensive line, and then have Kmet still as a receiver. Kmet,
yeah, I mean with
the
Keenan Allen banged up, if Keenan Allen doesn't play Sunday, I think you definitely see a little more Cole Kmet.
So Taylor is the guy they traded for from Seattle. So that's the guy that they traded for. He had 2 sacks in the game against the Titans and a forced fumble and 8 total
and that was
tackles.
actually Foster's last comment here. Who got the sacks? Taylor did have 2 sacks and the forced fumble.
So he came over. Ryan Poles. We all knew going into the season, defensive line was going to be an area that needed to be addressed. Right. I'm not saying it's the final that's our fix for this defensive line, but it worked in week 1. Right now. When we get into the Sunday night football conversation, I think the defense is going to be challenged. But for week 1, I said it in the chat, and I know people were like, "Oh, it's just week 1, calm down." That game was so important for them to win, especially with how ugly it looked. Right? You lose week 1, you go into this Sunday night football game against the Texans. You have the potential to go 0-2. Then you go to Indianapolis and play the Colts, where they looked pretty good against the Texans, right? So you could go 0-3 to start the season. And then we all know the Chicago fan base. 0-3, when this was supposed to be a season that was going to be the turning point for the franchise, the world is ending at that point. You know what I mean? And
we were only 4 games into the season when they were screaming to put Mitch in on the sidelines.
I mean, it's
6 years ago. So
it's week 1. You needed to come out and win. You're at home against a Tennessee Titans team that hasn't proven anything. I mean, yeah, sure, you haven't proven anything either, but you're at home. You're favored. You got this new toy in Caleb Williams, a good defense. You needed to win, and they found a way to win. I was hearing a lot of the narrative of well, the Titans lost that game. Well, yes and no. I mean, the Bears
They did.
The Bears defense stepped up, right? And they made plays, and the Titans got flustered, and they made the wrong plays, right? So it's a little bit of both. I think that Flus called a really good defensive game the second half. I do think that going forward, this offense needs to take a significant step forward.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, how does it make you feel? Like, I was thinking about this on Tuesday. How sad is it is if the Titans kneel the ball the entire game? That's all they did. Just kneeled it 4 times. They might win.
Yeah, but that's Bears football, right?
I mean,
that's what Bears football was.
Yeah, and I'm glad you kind of alluded to it, because I really do think it's an important point. You know, we came back from 17 points down and won. Did we do that because of Caleb Williams? Absolutely not.
No.
But he also did not lose us the game. He also did not
Right.
turn the ball over. He didn't make that hole bigger. He didn't give the Titans a short field to keep increasing that lead. So the only time that the Titans benefited from a short field is on the Vilas fumble. But
We're not supposed to talk about him, Mike.
but no,
Remember
I'm
we
just saying.
talked
But like other than that,
Wait a minute, I leave for 2 seconds and we start talking about Valence Jones.
If we go Valence Jones, we're on that topic the rest of the show.
My main point is the offense played a clean game. They did not
Yes,
they did not put us in a bigger hole than we needed to be in. So
absolutely.
and
I do like the fact that Caleb didn't force anything. He didn't try to be a powerhouse. He didn't try to be a playmaker. And yeah, there were some nerves in his throws where he overthrew it. But you know, even the one play where he saw it wasn't there, I think it was a 3rd and 10. He tucked it and he ran for a first down.
Yep.
There's a lot of quarterbacks that get nervous and try to force a throw there and throw a pick. So I mean, I did like some of the play recognition I saw from Caleb as well.
I will say it wasn't.
Go ahead, Tarbell.
I will say it wasn't all on Caleb. Obviously, that slant route to the corner in the end zone that Keenan Allen ran, you absolutely have to catch that for a touchdown, especially as a veteran presence.
And that's what I was basically going to say is there's a few plays in that game early on that probably, if made, shift the entire narrative of this entire game. The wide open overthrow to Keenan Allen. He did that twice, I believe. I think it was DJ Moore was one, maybe.
That out and up, I'm telling you, I played quarterback, and I'm telling you that up and out to time that and throw that accurately is really tough.
Right. And we call it week 1 nerves, right? For a couple of those. Yeah. Keenan Allen should not have dropped that touchdown pass. Like, you're Keenan Allen, a 6-time Pro Bowler. Like, you were brought here to be the sure hand.
You were brought here to catch that ball.
Right. Yeah. That's why you were brought here, to be the safety valve in the red zone. And
Odunze had a big drop in the middle of the field too. I think it was on the 2nd or 3rd down. I mean, he got hit from behind when he got there, but that's a catch you make.
Yep, 100%. It was in his hands. It hit his hands and he dropped it. So, you know, first week nerves, if you make a couple of those plays, the narrative about Caleb is completely different. Even with 1 touchdown versus none, you put yourself over 100 yards. Like, the narrative is like, okay, the Bears offense wasn't clicking at full go, but Caleb still looked good. There were a couple plays he could have got. But now it's, oh, well, what the heck? You know, like, we expected so much more. And I do think I would like your guys' thoughts on this. It seemed like the offensive play calling
sucked.
Like, they wanted to be like, yo, let's go. Hit that home run ball. Let's just down the field for probably the whole first half.
Yeah. I agree 100%. They kept trying to force that splash play. Like, let me show you, NFL, what we got. Like, you know, be like, and that's not. And I agree, that's not what they should have done. They should have just, it's kind of like, when you're getting into the pool and the water's cold, you just slowly start getting in. And I think that's just what they should have done with Caleb. One of his first 5 throws or even 3 throws should not have been an out and up downfield. Throw a screen to Swift, throw a slant, throw a little zig route, throw something something simple. Just because I think the reason why it derailed so fast is because the more Caleb kept missing, the more it increased decreased his confidence. So you get a little bit of 2 or 3 easy 2-yard throws, 3-yard throws. Yeah, it might not look like much, but completing those passes is going to increase the confidence level of Caleb Williams.
We talked about that last year also, right? With Justin Fields, like, he would get his confidence shook. So instead of like, you always notice like after that one big run, right, or a nice 10-yard slant route that's caught and you give the ball to your receiver and he does something, like the juices get flowing, the offense has a little more confidence, the quarterback has more confidence, your receivers have more confidence.
You're playing loose, you're playing free.
Right. And if you look at a lot of the successful offenses in the NFL, it's not one dude runs down the field, you chuck it up, it's touchdown. It's a lot of 5 to 7 yard routes that you hit quick and then you get to the line and you do it again. It's not this, I'm going to hold the ball 3 seconds, 4 seconds and try to just out throw and outrun the defense. You have to build. We're just a bunch of schmucks, right? Like the fact that we know you have to build plays on top of each other to set up other plays later, right? So you're having difficulties running the ball, and then you try to play action, bomb the ball down the field. Like, why not do, like I said, some 5-7 yard slant routes, curl routes, comebacks, whatever you can do to get separation for your wide receivers, to give your quarterback maybe not the easy completion, but a basic completion that he should be able to handle at his level. And then build onto that.
Or
Well,
even
go ahead,
Trevor.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Even like if you see some of these plays that the players that, and we don't need to debate. I'm not saying his name to debate him on the team. I'm just making I think he'd be the best person in this kind of role. You see the Chiefs, what they do with Worthy. You see the Dolphins do this with Hill. You have a guy like Velus Jones. If you're going to keep him on your roster, play to his strengths. So even like a little end around to Velus Jones, even if you get 5 or 6 yards out of that, now that opens up where you can either run the ball up the middle or you can throw a quick slant. I don't ever see them do an end around, and they have guys on this roster that can do stuff like that. You don't need to be big and sexy. Just nickel and dime those yards. You get 3 or 4 yards every play, you're getting a first down every drive.
You saw a couple nice end arounds from DJ Moore last year.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, like Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, right? A lot of their offense, he would have that.
Okay. Angelo has been removed from the chat because he forgot that this is a Chicago sports show. And he wanted to talk about Aaron Rodgers.
All I'm saying is, trust me, I've lived up here. Y'all watch the Bears just get annihilated by those guys. And a lot of the times it was the quick pass that set up that Aaron Rodgers dagger to the heart, deep throw touchdown pass, right?
I get what you're saying.
And a lot of the comparisons were, what's the ceiling hope for Caleb? I heard a lot of Aaron Rodgers. Who's Caleb Williams' favorite player to watch? Aaron Rodgers. So like, you can't just while it would be great for 5 drives, 1 play drives, 80-yard touchdown passes, that would be awesome, right? But it's not realistic, it's not sustainable, it's not an offense that's going to win. You have to be able to spread the ball, use the weapons that you have, which hopefully going into Sunday night, Shane Waldron will be able to realize that they paid a bunch of money for this tight end who should be the focal point of this offense.
Well, I think that's a good point, and I think like that's the best thing that could have probably happened to us in week 1. I mean, we ended up getting the win, but this could all be a very good thing that could have happened, with all these things that we're addressing that we didn't like. They're trying the big splash plays, less Komet, and we still got the win. Maybe that's a slap in the face that they needed. Be like, okay, that did not work. Let's dial it back a little bit. Let's try to simplify a little things. And that's why, to answer your question, Ace, on your topic, calm or concerned, I am calm when it comes to our running game, our wide receivers, and our quarterback play. I am concerned when it comes to the O-line. And I know, again, it's 1 week, but they showed me no reason to have any belief it's going to change dramatically.
They were leaking the whole game. It wasn't like, it was just a few plays where they got beaten. No, that offensive line was worked the entire game. There was zero adjustments made to help anybody other than take Nate Davis out of the equation. But he's kind of trash anyways. Like, he doesn't want to practice. He doesn't want to play during the preseason. No wonder you can't make it through a full game. You know what I mean?
Oh,
And I think that calm or concerned. I was concerned with the play, the personnel decisions that were made in week one. I was concerned about some of the play calling. I'm calm when it comes to Caleb Williams. I don't think that the stat line that he had is anything to like freak out about. Sure, I would have liked to see, 30 more yards or something and a touchdown. He could have had that if Keenan Allen holds on to that ball, right? So I'm not worried. It was just like in the preseason. There were a few passes that if the wide receiver completes those passes, his stats for the preseason look a lot better too. Now, what I am concerned about is I'm very concerned about this offense carrying over into Sunday, because if you get that kind of a performance from your offense, you will lose by 3 touchdowns against this Texans team. You will.
So I would say, Ace, I understand the philosophy there, and I definitely obviously am concerned that the offensive line will not perform up to the standard that we need them to in week 2 against the Houston Texans. But I honestly don't see CJ Stroud, Tank Dell, and this Houston offense just picking our defense apart either. I think it's going to be a tough game because the Bears have a top 7 defense in the NFL. I mean, that's not a stretch to say at all. Our DBs are our secondary is probably the best secondary in football.
Yeah.
I comfortably
top 5.
feel
I would say top 5 for sure.
saying that. I mean, I don't think it's going to be an all-out score fest by CJ Stroud and the Texans, but we do need to see the offense extend some drives for sure and get some points.
We can talk about
2 or 3 touchdowns out of the offense, but
so let's talk about Tua, and then we'll just jump right into the Sunday Night Football, because there's a lot of things that you're talking about right now that I think are very 100% on point with what our expectations should be for Sunday night.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Let me just finish my last thought here real quick, and then we can move into Tua. I don't know, man. I'm frustrated. I don't want to say I'm concerned, but I am frustrated with the offensive line play, and I think there has to be like a night and day turnaround from Coleman Shelton if he wants to keep that starting center position moving forward. I don't want to say night and day, but he needs to play a hell of a lot better than he did in week 1, because getting rolled over and laid on your back 5 times in a game.
Bro, there was one time he got spun around with his face first down in the grass.
That's unacceptable.
Yes,
I don't care. You want to talk about the hits principle? You want to talk about this higher standard that we hold our players to? That guy should have been getting his fucking ass chewed at halftime is what should have been happening. Absolutely unacceptable. But let's go ahead, guys. We are going to segue a little bit here and talk about some other action that's happened in the NFL. We talked about it briefly at the beginning of the show, and Angelo alluded to it. Last night, Tua Tagovailoa leaves the game in the third quarter, wrecks my parlay. I'm kidding. That's insensitive to say given the situation. But Tua, third concussion since the 22 season. He was making the posturing, the fist up in the air, and there's real concern there. I'm going to let our guy Mike start this one out because he's done a little more extensive research on the topic than you and I have, Ace. So, Mike, give us kind of an overview and what your thoughts are for Tua and the Dolphins moving forward.
Yeah, man. This one, I had a close friend that had never get a chance to play even college ball, and he had full rate scholarship. So when it comes to this stuff, it just hits home because I felt for him. So I have kind of a lot of thoughts on this. This is the third since 22, yes, but he also had one at Bama, so that's 4.
Yep.
A lot of people don't realize or remember this, but he actually admitted to a concussion he received in 2019. It wasn't in a game, so it's probably like in a practice or something like that. But so that's 5. And if you see the consistency of these, I highly doubt that it's only 5. There's probably a couple more that he is not even admitted to. So you see, it's a realistic thing. The problem is, and I hear a lot of people say, when it comes to the contract, the thing is, he's going to get $93 million, no questions asked. Probably $160 million if he ends up retiring. So the money's not an issue, but he's going to be financially fine either way, regardless what he does. But he did sign this $212 million contract, and anyone that follows football, we all know how much Tua loves this game, how much he feels obligated to play to the whole value of that contract. Those are his brothers on the field. He's going to feel like he has unfinished business. This is just the way the NFL players think and they act. I don't know if you guys remember, but Ryan Clark, when he had an issue when he went to go play for Denver, or when he would go play in Denver with the altitude. His first time playing there, in the game he complained that under his left rib was hurting, and they didn't know why. He thought it was a fluke. Next time he goes to Denver, they do it again. He ends up losing his spleen and other stuff as well. He had a real close, life-threatening game that happened. They told him if he goes back to Denver, it's life-threatening. What does Ryan Clark do? He builds a team and brings them with him to Denver. So if that does happen, they can treat him and address it immediately. He had to wear an extra large helmet, and he had the Kevlar lining in this extra large helmet, and took one hit, gave a thumbs up to the bench saying like, "Yup, I'm good." And that's just what these NFL players do. They try to find a way where they can keep playing. There's a Dr. Morris on Twitter. He's a doctor in sports medicine. I listened to him a little bit today. He made a couple facts. One, he said the response we saw from Tua, it was a fencing response. The way he cringed his body, the way he reacted, and the way his arm went, that's when there's actual trauma to the midbrain. 2/3 of the concussions that have unconsciousness are fencing response. However, only 11% of concussions result in unconsciousness. But this is normally a sign of severity, and it is a really big deal. Thursday night, football in 2022, he also had that fencing response.
Yeah, that was a brutal hit.
Yeah, Christmas, he received a concussion, and that concussion he got on Christmas, it took him several months to recover from that concussion. And most of us know this, but he did allude to that the more concussions you get, the more increased risk you are to having another one. You're more prone to having that next one.
Right.
This concussion is not going to be something he's going to recover in 7 to 10 days. And according to this doctor, he even says that he thinks he is at severe risk for something like CTE. It just takes extreme trauma to the brain. And the thing that we got, like, these players got to remember, it's not like you can go, bust a knee or bust an elbow and you can get knee replacement surgery. Like, this is your brain.
Mm-hmm. You can't get a brain replacement.
Right. And the problem with that is you can go look at an x-ray. You can go get an MRI done. You can see the severity of the damage on a knee and something like that. You can't see that when it comes to the concussions, how bad the severity is. So all I've been hearing is, should he retire? And I don't think I'm in any place where any of us should tell him what he should and should not do. I think if you're his family, if you're someone close to him, what you do is you give him all the details. You let him know what's at risk. You let him know, you lay it all on the table, and ultimately it's his decision. But the other problem is as we can all say as men, we always feel we have an obligation to provide for our family. And you're not thinking of just now. You're thinking of long time, maybe when you're not here anymore. He knows if he can play and he gets that full $212 million, his family is going to be set from long before he's gone. So he's trying to make as much money as possible, and it's not even for him. He is thinking of his family. You know, I hear all these people say, if he plays, it's selfish, and he's thinking of himself. There's not a doubt in my mind, if he chooses to play, he's 100% taking his family into an account and their opinions before he makes any decision.
So
Yeah,
the what you just said about like people think that he's selfish, like that is such an ignorant take by people to even think. Like, I get it. They make millions of dollars to play football, right? That's what people are going to say. Oh, it's just football, right? But most of these guys, quarterbacks especially, spend their entire life working to get to the position that Tua is in, right? So not only are you just losing your career if you retire, but you're losing a dream that you set for yourself your whole life, right? To make it to the NFL, to be the starting quarterback for an NFL team, to take your team to the Super Bowl, right? You retire and all that is gone. Now, he did have conversations with his family after the 22 season about retiring, and he said in an interview that he was leaning towards retirement, but decided that he was going to do some, I think, was jiu-jitsu training.
Yep. And judo.
Yep. Yeah, and bulked up a little bit so that the hits wouldn't be as severe. And then this year, he slimmed down a little bit.
He also tried taking training on like how to properly fall. I know that sounds weird, but it's a real thing, especially in the NFL.
Right. Yeah, because he wanted to learn how not to fall and have impact on his head, which I get it. He's taken all the right steps, right, to help prevent this from happening. But
unfortunately, what happened last night did happen.
Right. And yes, this is going to sound insensitive, but it was self-inflicted. It was a self-inflicted injury that he probably, if he slides the other way, I know he wanted to, and I get it. Competitive juices are flowing, all this stuff. But as a guy of Tua's history with concussions, you have to make yourself aware of how you're taking hits when you take off and run. You just have to.
And here's the other side to that. I think nobody is talking about this, but I think this is also a good point. Do you guys remember, of all people, who made this tackle on Tua?
Damar Hamlin.
But not only that, when he legally died on the field, how did that happen? He took a helmet to the chest.
Mm-hmm.
If you saw Hamlin make this tackle, he didn't go low. He was up. Like, that helmet, I hit Moyer's forearm, but it was inches away of hitting him dead in the middle of the chest again. Yeah. So I'm thinking, like, thank God Hamlin's okay, man. Like, because we could have seen two brutal injuries in that one play.
Ugh. And I think it also has something to be said about these Thursday night games. I get it. Moneymakers, right?
Last week was really good. And this one on paper should have been.
Well, yeah, I mean, yes, last week this one should have been, you're right. But even before Tua got hurt, this game the field conditions were sloppy. It wasn't.
Yeah, well, it rained. It was raining there all day.
Right. But it wasn't a great game. You're coming off of the first week of the season where guys are already tired. If you watch the Sunday Night Football game last week with the Rams and the Lions when it went to overtime, one thing that Chris Collinsworth talked about was, oh man, these players, right? This is the first week they just played a full game. Now they have to play overtime. That's a lot for a player, right? And now you want to ask these guys to turn around on short rest and play on a Thursday night this soon into the season. The caliber of the Thursday night games haven't been great historically. Last year they weren't great. Thanksgiving, I think, is always an outlier. Yes, it's a Thursday game, but it's viewed a little differently. I do think that if I had to make a guess, and I don't want to, be insensitive by making a guess, I would guess if I was Tua and my family came to me and laid out all those facts, right?
Right.
I would probably step away from football. And I know you feel like you're letting your team down, you're letting your coach down, you're letting yourself down, you're letting your family down. But like I've seen cases of people with CTE. It's not something that I feel anybody should have to go through. I mean, look at Antonio Brown for the longest time, man. After that one hit, he's not been all there. You go back and watch previous interviews that Antonio Brown did before the hit and then after the hit, two completely different people almost, right?
Yeah.
And
I don't feel comfortable giving an opinion and telling anyone that they should or should not do anything. It's his life, it's his career.
right.
What I can tell you what I think he's gonna do. I think he's gonna continue playing,
I think
whether
so.
it's the right decision or not. And
Right.
the reason why I think that is because the way athletes think is he is eventually gonna get cleared. They're gonna eventually
Do you
clear
think
him.
so?
They're
No,
gonna-
like a doctor could realistically go to the NFL and be like, listen, it is not safe for him to continue playing and
no
not allow him to play.
Right, but that might be the case, but like what's going to end up happening is he's going to get cleared to play. And as a player, that's all you hear. You hear that you're cleared to play. So I would hope what I think is going to happen, he's going to hear he's cleared to play. I think getting the larger helmet, getting the Kevlar lining inside his helmet, which I think he should have done already, but I think he's going to take another safety measure in his helmet. But I think all he's going to hear is he's cleared to play. He just signed this contract. He's going to feel obligated. He's going to get the support from his family. And whether it's right or wrong, I just think it's what he's going to end up doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hate to cut such a serious topic short, guys, but we do have a time restriction this evening, and we are fastly approaching 9 o'clock. So, final thoughts on Tua before we move on to our next topic. I would have to say, Mike, really great analysis there, and thanks for giving us that in-depth kind of look of what you viewed and what you've heard from the doctor's perspective, etc. It's unfortunate. I do think that I'm gonna be the oddball here, the guy that doesn't agree. I think that Tua is going to step away from the game after what transpired last night. I think he's going to put his health and safety first and retire. Whether he does or doesn't, again, it's not my decision. It's not my place to comment. But I think that's how he's going to lean. As you alluded to when you started talking, Mike, he's probably got somewhere in the realm of 160 million coming to him. That's enough to live a comfortable life, and brain health's nothing to mess with, man. So.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. In the end, I think we all could agree he's a great dude. He's a hell of a player. He's definitely a guy that's easy to root for. So honestly, for me, whatever brings him peace and happiness, it's all I want for him. And I just hope he gets better soon.
Absolutely. Moving into our final segment of the show this evening, guys, we are there to the meat and potatoes, what we have all been waiting to chat about, what Tarbill's been waiting to chat about at least. Sunday Night Football, boys. We are playing Sunday Night Football week 2 under the lights. There's just something about Sunday Night Football that's special.
Before we really dive in, I have a question for you guys, and you guys might know the answer. But
Go ahead,
in the last 7 games that the Chicago Bears, our beloved Chicago Bears, the last 7 Sunday Night Football games that the Bears have played, do you guys know what their record is in those 7 games?
Like 1-6. It's bad.
1-6 for Tarbell. Michael, what do you think?
Yeah, I would say 2-5.
So they're 0-7. The last one that they won was December 16th, 2018 against the Rams. And if you remember that game, that was a disgusting game.
That was an ugly game, yeah.
Jared Goff, I think, threw 3 interceptions, and Mitch was right behind him with 2.
It was like 10-6.
Yeah, it was a nasty game to watch. Yeah, everyone was like, "Oh, this is going to be the barometer of if the Bears are going to get back to the playoffs," and it was a terrible game to watch. So you know, they don't have very good.
Okay, I'm done with the negativity.
All right. So my only reason I'm bringing this up is because what are Sunday night football games usually for? A step up in competition, a step up in class for the NFL, right? You see some of the best teams playing on Sunday night football, usually, right? You might get the occasional Bears game on Sunday night football.
Hater.
This game I was so excited for when the schedule came out. Early season Sunday night football, nothing better than a whole day's worth of football just leading up to Carrie Underwood singing me into a Bears game, right? And I'm not going to lie, boys. After week 1, I am terrified of this game.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there, Ace. Although I do appreciate the stat line that you shared with us. This is a totally different Chicago Bears team. And I think you saw Caleb Williams get a lot of the rookie jitters out in week 1. The overthrows, kind of the happy feet in the pocket, all that stuff. I don't think you're going to see nearly as much of that in week 2. And rightfully so. Caleb said he doesn't get nervous. Clearly he was nervous.
Clearly.
That may have been a little bit of an exaggeration, but I think, to say that you expect this team to go out and throw for 500 yards is ludicrous, right? Nobody's saying that. I'm not saying that. I hope no one else on this show is saying that. But realistically, I think it's not crazy to think that Caleb goes out and scores 2 touchdowns. Maybe we score 3 offensive touchdowns total, 1 rushing, 2 passing, or vice versa. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility, especially, you alluded to earlier in the show, the shot plays that they were taking early on in the game. I think you'll see some of those shot plays again this week, but I do believe they will be better executed. I think a lot of it was just first week jitters, and I'm not ready to discount what this offense can do after 1 poor showing, because there were bright spots in that game. I mean, you had to dig a little deep and really focus on the fundamentals, but Caleb didn't do anything to lose that game. The one thing that Caleb did that was controversial was take a sack when he was trying to scramble. I mean, other than that, really,
and to be fair, he had people that are complaining about that sack. Like, what you want dude to do?
The
guy was in his lap.
The ball away. That's what I want him to do.
It would have been intentional grounding.
Yeah, I don't think there was any maybe not go 19 yards backwards, just fall and take a sack for 10 yards instead of 19.
Yeah. I mean, that's
the guy was in his lap the moment the ball came.
That's neither here nor there. I think
that is what he was trying to. I think he was trying to escape the pocket to throw it away, because you saw him trying to throw at the end. I think he just didn't have time to escape and throw it away.
Right. So and that's rookie mistake, whatever. But ultimately, I think it sounds like Rome is trending towards being healthy for this game. I saw a good interview with him today from our guys over at CHGO talking about there was like a 5-minute clip, Mark Grody and others from the media interviewing him in the locker room, and he said the pain's going down, the swelling's going down. He was able to move and cut with more velocity today, and they asked him if he felt like he was ready to play in a game. He said he'll see how he feels tomorrow when they practice after doing a little bit more today. I think Rome or Keenan, one of the two, hopefully will be active.
I think Keenan's out.
I think it's going to be tough.
I don't think
it's very tough if both of them do not play on Sunday.
I think the way that this team's going to look at this is, okay, you're already against the wall going into Houston, playing a good Texans team.
Oh my God. All right. I'm going to stop you because we have a comment here in the chat from Judah. Caleb got our receivers hurt. Put Bajent in. I want to stop and focus on that. It's been 1 week, Judah.
Oh, man.
Settle down.
Yeah, you know what's funny is I was listening to ESPN 1000 today, and there was a caller who said the exact same thing. Like, oh, well, they kid gloved it with Fields. They kid gloved it with Caleb, but they throw Tyson Bajent,
Can I call you Camacho?
you don't know me well enough to call me Camacho, okay? But you kid glove Caleb, you kid glove Justin, but Bajan gets put in there and he looks great. Usually, a second string quarterback, when they enter a game, catches the defense off guard, so they're more apt to perform a little bit better that first game. Like,
That's the ghost of Judah tribe to you.
all right. Anyways, so back to this Sunday Night Football. I'm looking over our picks from before the season started.
Okay.
Remember, I have them at 13-4, and you have them at 12-5. You have this as a loss to the Texans.
But he picked the Bears this
Did
week.
I say I thought the team was going to win? I haven't gave my prediction yet.
You gave it in the beginning of the year, though.
Okay.
So you predicted them to lose. You might have changed your prediction. I projected them to win, and I might change mine because
You both already put in your predictions.
I
for
did.
this
I
game.
picked the Bears, but
Yeah.
that's because I knew I had them going 6-0 to start the season.
And
So
I think in our pool, in our
5-0. Sorry.
little picks that we're doing, I believe I am only trailing one game behind Mike, but
Did you pick the Dolphins or the Bills to win this week?
I
Me?
think I picked the Dolphins.
Mike picked the Bills. Or no,
I picked the Dolphins.
Oh, I picked the Bills. Nice. So I made up some
You
ground
two-
last week.
So you two are the only. You two both out of us three. You two picked the Bears to win this game.
Yeah.
I am the lone guy in picking the Texans, and I it kills me to say it, but
Oh,
I do think we see a
we
little
just
bit better.
appreciate. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mike. We just appreciate the level of troll that's going on in the chat right now. So, did he do any pre-snap reads or audibles last week? With Bajent, we'd go 13-4.
So I'm gonna just say I'm very proud.
9-8.
I'm very proud of us in this moment. This is our first chat troll, so I'm very proud and pleased to have a chat troll in the comment section. Thank you.
And maybe this guy's not trolling. Maybe
He's not. Maybe it's a burner.
I really hope he's
Bajent's
trolling
dad.
because
Maybe
he
it's
might
Tyson
need a
Bajent's
cash in his
dad.
football card if he's being serious.
probably thinks Bajent's worth a first round pick to Miami, right?
He probably wants Bajent's dad to be an offensive lineman for this team, which honestly might not be that
He'd
bad.
probably just yell at him and scare him. Defense wouldn't even try to come at him.
Yeah.
Nothing. Nobody learned anything from Justin Fields last
All
year.
right. We got a few minutes left to wrap up here,
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
So,
So
Mike, give us your thoughts.
yeah, so I do think we see a better Caleb Williams. I don't think he's gonna blow anyone away. It wouldn't shock me if we see something like, 15 for 25 for like 200 yards, something like that.
Okay with that.
I think we see something like that. The thing you also got to remember is, the strength of the Houston team is their offense. The strength of our Bears team is our defense.
Mhm.
And, so I think it's going to just be, I think we, like you alluded to earlier, Tarbill, we have a great secondary. I mean, we have 3 cornerbacks, and most teams would take any of those 3 as one of their 2 on their team. And
Absolutely.
and so I think they people say, well, they got Dell and they got Nico and they got Diggs. That's fine. We have 3 stud corners that can probably man up with all 3 of them. So I think that's going to be a fun test and a fun watch. I do think we see an improvement out of this offense. I do think we see an improvement on Caleb Williams. However, I think Stroud and this Texans team is we're already there where we're hoping our Bears get to. They're already there.
Absolutely.
They're already established. And I don't think we're going to come in and just get dog walked. I don't think we're going to get blown away in this game. But I think there's just a little more experience on this Houston team. They're a little more established on this Houston team. And as much as I would love to be wrong on this prediction, I just think it's going to be tough with this offense still trying to find their groove to come in and outscore Houston.
I understand, Mike. I think this is going to be an uphill battle, but it's one, if the Bears do manage to pull this win out, it's going to get a lot of people excited. But if they lose and Caleb shows progress and growth, do not be discouraged.
Bingo.
So no, can I finish real quick, Ace?
Go ahead.
Oh,
it's okay. Go ahead.
People are so quick to judge Caleb Williams, who has only played one start in the NFL. Go look at the 3 years of tape that he put out between Oklahoma and then obviously the last 2 years at USC. Caleb Williams is what many are calling a generational talent, and I think it's very unfortunate that us as Chicago fans the meatheads are ready to blow him off after. That was very poorly worded. People just don't get it, man. I don't get it. Mike, I know you said you had a hard stop at 9, so if you have to drop off,
we're good for a few. It's fine.
If you have to drop off, you do. But I want to bring this comment up because
hey, real quick, Tubbo, because I'm gonna kind of back you up on something. Ace, I just sent you a picture. Is there any way you can put that up? Because
let me see.
It's it kind of really just completely defends and backs up Tarbell on what his point is when it comes to Caleb Williams and for his first start. I think this would be a really good image to put up and just kind of compare what we've seen out of other quarterbacks in their first career start and why we should not have so much concern on it.
So while Ace is bringing that up, I want to bring up this comment here because I'm sick and tired of seeing this.
Oh
shit.
Yeah, bro, for real.
How to paint his nails? Are you? I don't care if this guy ever watches our stream again.
Listen,
are you that insecure as a fucking man that you worry about what somebody else is doing with their fingernails?
Fact that was such an overblown thing. Like, dude paints his nails. Cool, man. What does that painting your nails has zero?
Hey, you know who else painted their nails and was pretty damn good? Dennis Rodman.
Right.
Just saying.
Right. And I mean, obviously Caleb is not quite
I don't care if he does it all year. I don't
care. Listen,
go tell
Caleb painting his nails.
I don't have a son, but I
listen, as a man of a son, I just want my son to be happy personally. You know what I mean?
My son at one point experimented and did paint his nails.
Right. And if painting his nails makes him happy and he's a happy person in life, like, cool. I'm good with that. I'd rather him be happy.
I'm sorry, I got a little heated there, guys, but I'm just so tired of seeing this.
It is a very
bullshit
take.
Like
honestly,
ignorant take.
I've hated that take forever. I told you if the Bears go 6-0 to start the season, I'm painting my nails every game the rest of the season. So, but
I may not be right there with you, but I don't care what anybody wants to do. It's his fingernails, man. Who cares? Is that really what you're going to talk about? Come on. So let's look at these NFL debut stats that Mike brought up. So look at this comparison between Caleb Williams, John Elway, and Josh Allen. Caleb in his first start, completions 14 of 29. Elway 1 of 8. Josh Allen 6 of 15. Passing yards for Caleb 93. Elway 14 and Allen 74. Touchdown to interception 0-0. Elway 0-1. Allen 0-0. And very similar passer ratings. They didn't have a passer rating back when Elway was playing, apparently. But very similar between Caleb.
Where was just a 0, completing 1 pass with 1 interception.
And to be fair, it was a different brand of football back then, right? It was.
So,
but
I don't know. I'm fired up here, boys. I think it's way too soon for people to be making such stupid observations about
how much do you think, how flipped is this narrative going to be, right? Like, can you imagine if Caleb comes in and does throw for 250, 300 yards and the Bears win a 31-28 game and people are gonna go from "Oh my God, get Caleb out of here" to like "Oh my God, Caleb might be that guy." Like, you're just
Listen,
gonna completely.
So I've
see-
never
Somebody-
banned anyone
I
from a
take
live
pride-
stream. I just banned that guy.
I
cannot.
take pride in being a level-headed, non-meathead fan. Okay, I'm
Do ya?
lying.
Do
I'm
ya?
lying out of my ass. But what I want to see in Sunday night's game, I want to see the Bears have a competent-looking offense that looks
Yep.
like it knows what it's doing, right? I want them to, and I'm not, Caleb could throw for 112 yards. I don't
it-
care. If
If
it
looks
looks,
good and he shows
Right.
growth, that's what
Right.
matters.
I think even if they lose this game, let's say, God forbid, I don't think they will, but let's say they lose something crazy like 34-17, right? I don't think they will.
Right.
As long as Caleb and the offense look better, which granted, it's not going to be difficult because of how bad they looked week one. But if Caleb still protects the ball, is making the proper reads, hitting those open receivers that we watched him miss week one, gets a touchdown or two on the board, I think you definitely, the narrative shifts in terms of like panic mode. Now, you go out there and you put up 6 points in a game and get boat raced out of Houston, then I think the narrative starts to get louder that, is Caleb really ready for this? And I know it's only week 2, but he needs to come out and he needs to show that it's not too big for him, right? That's something that they all talked about with him coming out of the draft. It's not, the stage isn't too big for Caleb. We talked about this when we did our predictions. This Sunday night football game was going to be an opportunity for Caleb Williams to introduce himself to the NFL. And that's what I think this game is going to be. It might not be 500 yards. I would be happy 250 with a 65% completion rate.
I think it also depends what receivers we have in this game too.
Right. So I don't think either of those two, Rome or Keenan, are going to play. My thought process, did I give that before we? No, I was going to. I think the Bears look at this game. We're already going up against the Texans. They might not admit it, but they probably don't expect to win. Maybe not. Every team expects to win. But if you can get Rome that extra week of rest, the last thing you want is for your rookie wide receiver season to be derailed with a nagging injury that lasts the entire season because we wanted to just see him on Sunday Night Football. You know, and if that means that other guys like Tyler Scott have to step up, or DJ Moore, I'm not worried about.
Dante Pettis.
Pettis doesn't look terrible. Maybe
Jones,
this is
Jones.
I was just going to say, maybe this is an opportunity for the Ferret King to come to play, and
Ferret King.
I just think that the Bears, I think they win this game. I think they control the clock with their run. The Texans' strength of their defensive line is the edge rushers of that defensive line. Funny enough, the Bears, their strength of their offensive line is the exterior of the offensive line. So you have strength versus strength. Now, a smart defensive coordinator might shuffle that up, put some guys in the middle to try to fluster him. But I think this is going to be a good competitive game. And I think we're going to be pleasantly surprised with how the Bears perform.
I would agree. I'm looking forward to it.
Jesus, throw my mic.
It's gonna be a good game either way. I think as long as we see the growth out of Caleb, I'll be happy with the win. But if Caleb performs well and we take a loss, it's still early.
And
1-1 on the season.
One thing that never changes:
Packers suck.
the Packers suck.
Packers do suck. I think that we've ranted and raved enough. We got the pregame show coming up Sunday, guys. We will be live Sunday morning on Out of High Bear
Coming
Nation.
out of High Bear
Right
Nation.
here.
Real quick, in case I'm not able to make the pregame show,
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
there is one guy I am honestly worried about when it comes to this Texans D line. I'm telling you, they better have a plan for Mario Edwards because he does play defensive tackle. He will be coming from the interior because they still got Daniel Hunter and Will Anderson on the edge. So they already got the two good edge rushers, and they got Mario Edwards on defensive tackle. So I do think that's like my biggest concern in that game is if they're going to have a plan interior for Mario Edwards. And I don't, we keep putting a number on what we want to see from Caleb. Honestly, I just want to see growth. Play better than you did the week before.
That won't be hard, hopefully.
Very well said,
I mean,
Mike.
it's a bigger stage, so
that's what I am hoping, that the bigger stage leads to better quality football from this Bears. I'm hoping that the coaching staff, Waldron was interviewed, talked about how he sees some of the mistakes that they made in week 1, and they're going to make those adjustments. Let's hope. You know what
the NFL did with this week 2 schedule, right? On Sunday night, they're just showing everyone in week 2 the Super Bowl matchup. That's all.
3 times in 1 year.
I like it.
The Hall of Fame game.
The enthusiasm.
And then the Super Bowl. Let's go. I love it.
Let's go. With
Caleb
that being
Williams
said, guys.
A Bears-Texans Super Bowl with Caleb Williams versus Stroud. That would just be fun to watch, man.
Being golden television, I would be there.
I would be the Bears against anybody in the Super Bowl, and I'll consider it the greatest watch.
Yeah, but Caleb Williams and Stroud, and then I'm saying the Bears-Texans because 3-4 years ago, if someone told you Bears-Texans will be in the Super Bowl in 4 or 5 years, they were both last place teams.
I was thinking about this today on my way home. Isn't it wild that 2 years ago, what was it, 10 seconds of a football game literally just changed the course of both of these franchises? Because instead of just lying down and losing, Lovey does what Lovey does. He got them boys to win. And because of that, the Bears were able to trade that first pick with the Panthers, get everything that they've gotten to this point from that pick. And the Houston Texans got all the stuff they got. And it's wild how just that one little block of time has really transitioned both these franchises from complete trash to contender.
I'm glad you brought up Lovey. I've been asked about that. I was asked that year if I think if Lovie Smith, if it was any other team that needed them to win that game, if Lovie Smith does it, or if it was kind of, still had the Chicago Bears in his heart and went to go help him out. And I said, you see Lovie Smith. He coached Illinois. He coached the Bears. He loves Chicago. But at the same time, we all know Lovie, and I'm sure that might have been in his head, but that dude's just a competitor. He's going to try to win every single game hands down anyway. So,
Absolutely. But, guys, it's been fun. It's been a great show. Appreciate the interaction in the chat. We will be back this Sunday morning to go over the Bears pregame a little bit more in depth. We'll talk about the injury report, things to do there. I definitely know that DJ Moore is going to be in my starting wide receiver lineup for fantasy football with Keenan Allen and Rome Odunze both potentially sidelined. Hopefully one of them plays, but only time will tell, guys.
We'll talk a little bit of our USN predictions that we have going on, our nice little friendly competition of picks, and we'll let you guys know a little more about that. So that'll be
fun. We appreciate you guys for joining us, and as always, we are the Undefeated Sports Network. Be sure to go follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and all major social media platforms. We are out there everywhere. Give us a like and follow to help the algorithm. Follow us on.
We should be getting on Spotify here pretty soon.
That we should. So with that being said, guys, have a good night. We'll talk to you soon.